Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a fantastic start to your weeks, despite the market conditions. What a rough ride this weekend has been. That's exactly what we're going to get into in this video. This is a cryptocurrency market update, a health checkup or damage report, if you will. We're going to be going over a number of things in this video, like why we are seeing this kind of movement within the crypto space. It's all very correlated with the traditional financial world. We've been giving you these daily updates where we look not only at crypto, but financial markets as a whole, global events and other things like that, and how they're all very correlated. We live in very, very strange and uncertain times at the moment, guys, and markets are going to show signs of that. And that is exactly what I believe is happening within the crypto space. The kind of 4-year cycle theory that we had in play for Bitcoin, it's followed it very accurately up until how, the end of year should come to a conclusion. We've not followed that kind of 2017 and prior to that 2013-esque end to the year, but that's okay. When things don't go according to plan, what do? You come up with another plan. You don't panic. You don't panic sell. Crypto and Bitcoin is still in a bull market. I'm going to make that very apparent throughout the, or sort of from the offset of this video, because whenever we get any kind of a sell-off, always the same people pop up. The bears come out of the woodworks and they're always calling for a bear market. And crypto YouTubers are worse than the mainstream media for this. Because I was watching Squawk Box today, which is kind of where I get my traditional mainstream narrative from, to kind of see what's going on over in that side of the world. And they were very down and doom and gloom on crypto. In fact, they were slating it massively. They weren't doing that when the prices were at all-time highs. They were doing that, as we're selling off. And I don't think that's healthy or an objective way to look at things. In actual fact, it's the pullbacks where you want to be buying, not the tops. And I do think we are going to see continuation within this bull market. If we're going to take a look on the crypto side of things at Bitcoin, of course, ETHEREUM, Cardano, which is a bit of a crucial point right now. We don't want to go and invalidate an entire macro structure that we have by putting in a new low here. I don't think we will. I just think we're seeing a lot of volatility within crypto due to what's going on the global financial stage right now. We've got Jerome Powell. Of course, this has had an effect on markets, and certainly it's had an effect on the traditional markets, which is echoed over into crypto being more of a liquid market that is more speculative in a kind of greater manner, if you will. We know Powell has essentially said that he's going to start speeding up bond buying, tapering, and stop printing as much money. Now, this, of course, is going to see a strong dollar correlation, as this should strengthen the dollar, certainly if they see interest rate spikes. And we've seen this hit wheat and oil. We spoke about crude oil on a number of occasions. Crude oil saw a massive slam down, one of the biggest slam downs it's seen since March 2020. And this is all due to the fact that these are pegged against the US dollar. Same with wheat. These are commodities. They have a lot of resemblance to crypto that's also followed suit, being a smaller, more speculative market with not such a large market cap and liquidity to kind of mitigate some of these troubles in the way. So the main takeaway for this video, really, with crypto, you're still in an uptrending market, ladies and gentlemen. The same people that called this, let's get rid of some of these fibs at this point. The same people that called this as a bear market, said we were entering a bear market, were completely wrong because we went on to put in a new high. That's a good sign. You're still putting in higher highs and higher lows, ladies and gentlemen, and you have been this entire time. Can you see even this big sell-off here was a higher low than the original one, and you've continued this. Obviously, you don't really, it depends how you want to look at this. This is more of a micro high and higher low within this trend, but this is still a continuation with a higher high of the macro trend, and now another higher low. This is your only kind of pariah, but this is more in a micro trend, and you want to class this as sort of one move. So the reason, I don't really understand why people are saying we're in a bear market. We've not gone on to invalidate anything yet, and we're still considerably up from where we were here. And, things don't look that bad. Ultimately, one thing that makes things look bad is when people come on here and they start calling for a bear market with no kind of a confirmation that we're actually entering one. And we spoke to you in yesterday's video about how potentially cycles are going to look very different into the future because we've got more kind of traditional financial actors involved. We've got a higher market cap. The conditions are different. Bitcoin has an entire country that essentially is using it as legal tender. And of course, cycles are going to look different according to this. And there's still going to be that element of the 4-year cycle theory due to the fact that we have a halving every 4 years, and this causes a huge supply shock. But they're going to look different. And I think potentially we could be in for something like this, where we have these kind of smaller, miniature bear markets, if you will, but we see ultimate continuation of the trend. As this technology gets adopted, we looked at the .com stocks yesterday and saw what really took place after the boom and bust in the .com boom, and then what continued after that. I think crypto could be on somewhat of a similar trajectory. I don't think there's need for cause for concern. I'll make my position very apparent to all of you. I'm still holding every single cryptocurrency that I ever bought. Or that's not true. I hold all of my cryptocurrency that I believe in. Some speculative plays, I've been selling throughout, but that doesn't involve things like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Cardano. That involves very, very small altcoins that are extremely speculative that no one's probably heard of. But the majority of my money in crypto has been sat there for nearly 4 years now. The majority was accumulated in the bear market, and it's all been sat there, even though we've seen some significant growth. And that's because I'm expecting this trend, this macro continuation trend, to do exactly that, continue. Right now, we're just running into a little bit of headwind. We saw Ethereum. Ethereum mitigated this. And this is quite a funny thing floating around on Twitter. It could be because the gas fees are so high, people can't afford to sell, or they haven't got the money to sell in some cases. That was just a funny one. And Cardano's, we know what the story is with ADA. We had a big run up with a hard fork, and we've continued to sell off under a cascade of FUD, really, to this low point. And it's very crucial that we don't come in talking about our kind of macro structure and higher highs and higher lows. If we come down and break this, that is then putting in a lower low for the first time, really, since Cardano's started this bull run. You can see you didn't even put in a lower low here. So this was even a higher low in a kind of macro trend than this one with a higher high, etc., etc. So as long as we put in the low here and we see continuation, things like Gucci on that side, I don't think the reason for panicking is there. It always looks a lot more severe than it is. Markets do tend to recover. Remember what's happening globally and how that is going to affect the markets. And it's not just our markets. We're seeing that with oil, and we're certainly seeing that with wheat. I mean, wheat continues to sell off. You want to come and look at your assets, your commodities that are pegged to the dollar, see how they're reacting. And a lot of the answers to what's happening in our space will lie over there. FTSE seeing a bit of an uptick. Still uncertain. Everything's uncertain with this new variant, with Jerome coming and making these threats. Let me make this point very apparent in relation to them tapering inflation. They can taper it all they want. They are never going to stop it. Go and ask your grandparents what they bought their house for when they bought it. You wouldn't even be able to get a second-hand car for that today. So the whole monetary game is rigged. They may pull rabbits out the hat to try and get you to think that it's not, and that, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. But over time, one reason I'm so bullish on crypto is because it is a viable lifeboat from the fiat currencies of the world. We're already seeing that. In the UK, they've been talking about all sorts of stuff like upping. They reckon that the price of people's gas and electric essentially could double by next year. And people are getting absolutely screwed for being sat and paid in fiat currencies, because not only did they devalue massively of all the inflation, which is why we've seen such epic runs with things like Bitcoin, things like oil. Oil, we think that crypto is massive gains. Oil at one point traded under $1. This is oil, right? Yeah, under $1. And now it's at $67 today. So what an absolute gain, a 67x. That's insane. Well done to anybody that caught that. So markets as a whole are very strange, volatile. We've seen a huge amount of inflation. We're now seeing a potential cool off of that. Expect markets to react accordingly. This is why we've seen this kind of long, boring price kind of rut for Bitcoin. But things will get moving. I think we could have a lot shorter, drawn-out periods of downwards momentum and continuation. And let's just take a look at some of the traits that we saw with the bear market. What we didn't see going into the bear market was a higher high be set. We saw lower lows and lower highs, signaling that we were in that bear market. You've got the opposite of that taking place today, ladies and gentlemen. I really don't think there's any reason to worry. Perfect example that sometimes falling wedges just don't break to the upside. Lots going on. And remember how liquid and speculative crypto is. We're seeing these pretty harsh sell-offs on the traditional markets. Crypto is going to act in sync with this, but at a higher beta. So it's going to be more volatile due to the liquidity sloshing around. We are seeing an uptick. Like I say, main message is this is just nonsense. Whatever they do in the short term can't mitigate what's going to come in the long term. They may, if they choose to up interest rates, that really screws every single emerging market that there is, because most emerging markets have dollar-backed debt that they're now going to have to pay a higher price to service. So there's only so many tools in their arsenal. One thing that you've really got to understand is that, you know, crypto is definitely a long game. It's a great short game. Timing the market is dangerous. Hang in there. There's a tried and proven method, and that is hodling. I think you guys are going to be absolutely fine. It's important for me to make these videos, certainly on days like today, when the majority of other crypto YouTubers don't really have a lot to say for themselves. And the reason is because they just don't understand what's going on here. There's something far, far greater at play. There's a whole technological shift. Essentially, with Bitcoin and crypto, you're threatening and challenging the traditional financial world. How do you think they're going to react? And you're seeing the volatility brought on by that within crypto. So this is all part for the course. You know, it would have been too good to be true for us to sort of follow the 4-year cycle theory perfectly. We did a lot of analysis on the four-year cycle theory. I think we even touched on it yesterday. This is just how things go, ladies and gentlemen. You know, not everything's going to go to plan. And when things don't go to plan, it's important to not look for others to blame, to own your own outcomes and deal with it accordingly. There's winners and losers in this life, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe it's a loser's mindset to look for other people to blame and not to kind of deal with the situation that you find yourselves in accordingly. And when you zoom out and take a look at things like we have previously just done in relation to Bitcoin and the trend that it's in, things don't really look that bad. I mean, they really don't. Yes, it's a severe sell-off. What's next? Let's talk about what's next. You could see something similar to this, where we set up structure. You have this epic kind of slam down, and then you maybe see marginally lower lows, setting up maybe a potential falling wedge before we get that continuation. Something like that could ensue now, guys. This would be a lower low. You're going to put a higher high. This would be a higher low. You're going to put another higher high in. Your trend's going to continue, and then you could see a kind of release of everything. Same thing with Ethereum. Can you see? I mean, Ethereum, the continuation just looks even better, guys. Can you see this? This is your only kind of pariah in more of a micro trend, which is this is your trend reversal. Things don't look that bad at all, guys, at all. So I'm going to leave you on that note. This was just a video to maybe put some of your minds at ease. I still do absolutely believe that we are in a bull market and we are going to see continuation as we've not invalidated any structure today. And I still think there's a long way for crypto to go on a whole. In terms of adoption, in terms of actually being used and implemented, we are not even really on that journey yet. I'm going to leave you on that note, guys. Have a fantastic Monday and I'll catch you all in the next YouTube video.